All right. Well, welcome everybody to our Imaginal Plus New Parent Info Night. And Imaginal Plus is a brand new school that is being launched by Masters College. And Masters Academy and College is a highly respected school in the city of Calgary. We have 26 years of history of servicing parents, and we have a fairly good recognition and reputation. Just a little bit about myself. I'm the founder of the school and also husband, father, and grandfather. And that's kind of cool, and involved in a bunch of international work. This is a picture of my family. My wife, I have 4 children, 3 of them are married, and we have 6 grandchildren. And I like showing this picture so you get to see the human side of me, that I am human in the sense of having family and loved ones. But more importantly, my grandchildren attend here. And so I have a vested interest in the future of this school because it's very personal for me. And so, Masters Academy and College was founded in 1997. And there is what is called an educational society. We are a nonprofit Christian society, a religious society, as we're registered in the province of Alberta. And so the society actually launched 2 schools, the academy and the college. The academy is K-6, and the college is 7-12. And now we're launching our 3rd school, but it's all under the umbrella of Masters Academy Educational Society. The same group is leading all 3 schools. The Imaginal Plus School is what we're to share with you tonight. And we are also connected to the Palliser Regional School District, which is a public school district south of us here in the Lethbridge area, but we, alongside of about half a dozen other schools in Calgary, Christian schools, are part of the Palliser Regional School District. And that's part of our association. And that's part of the reason why we are able to offer the kind of programming at the fee structure that we have. If we didn't have that support, it would be different. And so we're happy to be a part of that jurisdiction. These are kind of the big people that are behind the scenes working on developing the R&D. Masters was launched as an R&D school. The premise was to design and create the model of learning for the future. A lot to be said about that, which I don't have time, but we have been developing our educational model for a long time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you a roadmap of the key significant R&D initiatives that has taken place in our school that has led us to where we're at today. But you can see the R&D people that are here. This represents probably about half of the R&D people that are involved in the development of all the various things that we're used to deliver our educational mission and vision. Over the years, we've probably spent close to $30 million in the R&D initiatives. This is pure R&D cost. And we've developed an educational model. We have ways by which we can train other schools to adopt the model. We're working in schools around the world. And we've developed a Genius digital platform, which is a unique platform, as I indicated at the beginning, designed specifically to deliver our educational model. And we've got online learning content and the launching of the Imaginal Plus School. And we also have developed intellectual property around imaginal thinking and becoming an organization, imaginal organization. The term imaginal is a metaphor. It's actually a biological term. Inside of the caterpillar are these very special cells. They're called imaginal cells. And the imaginal cells are those cells that have the capacity to actually create the future butterfly. And if we understand the process of metamorphosis, the caterpillar has to die. It goes into this chrysalis. Inside of it is just pure mush. And out of that mush comes a forming of the future in terms of the butterfly. The application of imaginal is that imaginal leaders are those who are able to see the future but it's more than just the futurists. Are people that can see and can pull that future into the now. They are creators of the future, more than just simply dreamers or visionary people. And so the imaginal leader are those that can transform our world. And imaginal thinking is the process for transformation, and we're gonna come back to that. And so the Imaginal Plus School, metaphorically, is a view of how we view education for the future, but it's here today. And I'll come back to that in a few moments. The question is, how did we get to where we are today? And that's what I'm about to share with you. But before I do, our mission, if you wish, for all three schools, the Academy and College and the Imaginal Plus, is to prepare students to be future ready by becoming master learners, imaginal leaders, and Christ followers. Further to that, we've articulated what we're calling our kingdom assignment, which is really a sense of our calling. What do we feel we've been called to do from a spiritual perspective? And that is to co-design and co-create with God a new model of Christian education, a prototype that aligns to kingdom principles and values, and to share it with the world. And so that kind of encapsulates not only what are we doing every day in our mission, but what are we reaching out to do in a global sense? So let me start with our journey. The school was launched in 1997, and at that time we had roughly 180 students, K-8. And we took about 10 years to develop the educational model that we call profound learning. It began to emerge after much R&D and development, this profound learning model. We believe that academic achievement, high academic achievement, is possible by the many, not the few. And if you look at the provincial scores and test scores and PATs, you'll see only 20% of the student population in Alberta achieve what is called excellence. And so we came with this belief that it's the vast majority of students within the normal band of learning abilities, within that normal range, that the vast majority should be able to reach excellence. And the reason it's not reaching excellence is because the system is favoring the few. It's actually disqualifying a lot of people that we believe can reach excellence. So we took on the two beliefs and merged them, high academic achievement as well as the system. So it translates, what is required is a new system. We change the system, we get a change in the performance variation of that system. That's basic Edward Deming 101. And so out of that, we, after about 10 years of development, we developed this profound learning model. And the model has 4 different layers, and I'll speak to them very quickly and briefly, but you can see what it is. And on top of that model, or aside to that model, we also look at who is the student becoming, because our intentional integration of student personal development is equally as important as academic achievement. Doesn't matter if you get a 90% overall average, but if you don't have the people development piece strongly in place, then you're not necessarily going to succeed at all. And so the future ready model in terms of personal development, we start with 7 habits of the master learner, students becoming imaginal leaders, and then finally students with our spiritual integration becoming Christ followers. But if we look at the history of our school, we primarily looked at the bottom 2 layers of profound learning in that first phase of development that took us all the way up to 2012. We really looked at student ownership and mastery, and then slowly after that time, roughly 2013 onward, we began to explore some of the imaginal innovation sides of the educational model. So let's just go to the ownership piece very quickly. Ownership is really about empowering students to own their own learning. Here's a little analogy here. Which house would you take more care of, the one you own or the one you rent? It's a pretty simple question. Most people will take way more care of their own house if they own it versus the one that they rent. And then the concept of ownership, what if you had a neighbor that was telling you, had the authority to tell you what you had to do every day. You couldn't go, they'll tell you what to do for breakfast, when you can have dinner, where you park your car, when you cut the grass. You're being told every day by some external party next door what you can do. Well, first of all, you would never want to live there. What kind of neighborhood is that? But that's what happens in school. Students do not own their learning in most schools. They go in and they sit there and they're being told what to do every day. Well, we've turned that around and we say, well, that's kind of silly. Why not have students own the learning? And to do that, we've created many, many different strategies and tools. And not only do they own their learning, they can actually self-assess their own learning and identify gaps. And so we came up with a definition, or a new definition, of what it means to be smart. If you went into any classroom in the city and you were asked, just kind of watch, who are the smart students in the class? Most likely you would answer or pick out the ones that are raising their hand. A teacher asks a question, they raise their hand. We've redefined smart as not knowing the answer. We redefine smart as finding out what you don't know and filling in the gap. And that really is the essence or the genius behind the successes that we have experienced here at Masters Academy and College. And for that, we've had to build certain tools. And part of it is in our digital platform, and some of it can be with the younger students in paper form, where students can actually identify their own gaps in learning. You see, they're the only ones that know what they know and what they don't know. No amount of external testing can actually pinpoint fully, accurately, what a student knows and they don't know. And so we have empowered our students to identify, and we have various different strategies for closing gaps. And so that's part of the ownership, is the tools that we have provided the students, so that can be done successfully with the student, with the teacher leadership. The second layer is looking at the mastery, and mastery really is looking at how do we design the experiences of the students in learning that aligns to the way the brain wants to learn, which really looks at the neuroscience of learning. Again, we don't have time to expound on that, but if we can match human learning with a method or an experience, then learning truly will accelerate for sure. And so when we start to look at designing of brain-based experiences, that is the role of what the teacher is in our school. Our teachers are first and foremost designers of brain-based learning. That's their job, to create learning that engages students deeply in the learning. Recently, this year, we've pioneered some AI-powered design tools to help teachers design these brain-based experiences. So now we're integrating into our R&D the whole AI component, and Curtis may speak to that briefly. And so essentially what we've done with our technology, just like you have in modern civil engineering, you got people whose job it is to design a bridge or design a house. Well, you have computer-aided programs, CAD programs, that enable them to design quickly enough so that you don't take maybe a month to design a bridge. You could do it in a couple of days with the computer-aided programming. The same applies for learning experiences, learning adventures. We have built into our AI design guide all of the profound learning elements. There's 9 different elements that go into designing of a profound learning experience. So they're all embedded into the AI, and how that helps to assist the teacher in designing. Our view in terms of teachers as designers, AI is only assisting them. They are solely in control of what their student design will be. So if you go on the website, and I assume most of you have seen what's on the website, we take a look at, it's called Exceptional Expeditions. And an expedition kind of represents a full year journey of a student. You think of Shackleton went on an Antarctica expedition. Think of all the elements that led up to going there and leaving and being there, and all the different adventures and stories. So an expedition represents a year-long learning, but those expeditions are broken down into discrete learning adventures. All of them tie and connect to Alberta curriculum. Units of study in science will have like a year-long expedition, but each unit is an adventure in itself. And it's designed to engage students in meaningful, relevant scenarios that really is interested in engaging for them. And so that's what this is showing, and Curtis will speak to that in a few minutes as well. And so the result of this is our school has been academically achieving some of the top results here as indicated by the Fraser Institute. We have consistently been a #1 ranked school in our academy. Our college is near #1 and usually in the top 5 or so as well. And so it's worked. We have actually succeeded in reducing the variation and seeing that the giftedness of most students, our belief was proven to be true by changing how we deliver learning. And so that was phase 1 of the journey. So if we kind of carry on into the next phase, is that we begin to really look at the refinement of profound learning, and we started to share it globally. And around 2012, we started our first global engagement. It happened to be in Nigeria. And so we're a local school with a global impact. And today we're involved in a number of different countries around the world. It's not like we're looking for schools to work with. No, we're actually looking for national partners to work with. And the difference is that a national partner has the capability to not only be a showcase school for our educational model, they have the vision and the capacity to spread it or multiply it in that country. And so we have national partners around the world, and we have worked with leaders around the world as well. And so that kind of is profound learning 1.0. We kind of began to look at the top 2 layers of innovation and future ready, kind of parallel to the orange line. And around 2012 and 13, we decided that we are going to pilot a new kind of learning called ID School. It was a 2-year pilot, and I'll show you a little piece of that. But the focus really was on innovation and design. And some of the fundamental kind of premises that we hold when it comes to innovation and creativity really boils down to the question, where does creativity come from? And when I think of this picture of a doghouse, I don't think anybody in this room believes that that dog designed and built that doghouse. I don't think anybody, we all understand that that was a human creation. Same thing with this laptop, that this was designed by people. You see, people have the propensity and the abilities to envision the future, to go to the moon, even though the capacity or abilities to do it did not exist at that time. And so we have this tremendous ability, and our belief is that this is rooted in the fact that there is an intelligent designer, a God, a creator of the universe, and that we're created in his image. That is our belief, and that our abilities to create is because of that spiritual connection. Our imaginal roots are found in biblical studies, in future studies, and also in imaginal learning, which is really looking at the future. So the ID School had its launch in 2013. We ran it for 2 years. Here's a 20-second clip from that pilot.
ID School stands for Innovation and Design School. And innovation is the application of creativity to solving systemic problems. And design comes from the Latin, which means basically to make your mark.
In a sense, ID School's made me more future ready because I have a better sense of what the world's going to throw at me in terms of having to work on a project with other people.
The class makes you think, the class challenges you, it challenges me, and it allows me to really expand my perspectives, expand my experiences, and expand how I can deal with different situations and work with different people.
Everyone's working together, everyone's inputting their own ideas and stuff. So Sometimes the ideas clash, but at the same time that helps, because if you critique something, then it gets better.
The school system kind of has you like dead focused on the subject, and it's just not really interesting anymore. Whereas ID school, we do all the spontaneous thinking, and it's just more fun. It's more engaging.
It's not the usual sit down and write a project, present it to people. It's all tactile, and it's all talk to people, and lots of research and figuring things out, things you don't quite understand. It's not the usual school kind of curriculum.
So there's another play on ID in ID school, and that is show me your ID, your identification. And in ID school, we create the context for students to explore who they uniquely are, who they're becoming, and what that personal mark could be that they would leave on the world.
The past 3 months, we've been looking at history makers. So we've started out by reading biographies of them, filling out charts based on the 7 personality traits and 5 keys that we've looked at. And we've organized information that we've learned from reading these biographies into these charts, and then we've designed a template to put all this information in a really aesthetically pleasing, a really beautifully designed way to kind of show people our learning.
We're all working together as a team. A lot of it's student-led. There's not a whole bunch of teacher interjection. I mean, we just had a discussion about the red tape and where we're going to put the title. And instead of having a teacher dictate where that's going to go, we actually had a class vote led by students. And I think that really iterizes how we collaborate.
The difference can just be seen by looking behind me, looking at everyone working together, running around, gluing things on templates. And it's not just kind of an arts class. It's not just gluing things on a board. There's so much knowledge and so much depth in our research and in our learning that have gone into these templates.
We're working on a project that we all have to put effort into, and working as a group is harder than working individually. It's at times because people have different perspectives and views on how the project should end up. Just seeing the different views of different people, the different perspectives, is just eye-opening.
In ID school, we don't just teach graphics and widgets and websites, but we teach the application of design to larger systemic problems. And that's what makes ID school relevant for the 21st century.
Jeff will be up at the end to talk about the ID program, which will be the signature program for the IMAGINAL Plus school. And so we look at the timeline, and roughly around 2014, we engaged with a family that owned a large agribusiness in Brazil. They had their own private schools. We began to work with their school in terms of becoming a school of profound learning. But we also did something different. And at that time, we approached the company and we said that we believe, because of our previous experiences and the things that we have been working on when it comes to innovation, that we could actually help them as a company. And that created a very interesting opportunity where we've worked at length with this Jacto group in Brazil. And we've done 10 IMAGINAL workshops with their leadership team. And this one happens to be, how do we unleash the innovative spirit in the leadership of the company? And so we worked with them, and we continue to work with them. Next week, be back in Brazil to visit with them. I'm not going to show the rest of the video, but what came out of there was a process of imaginal thinking. Okay, it's a process we invented, we created, and it kind of is a 7-step process of how to see and how to create the future. The reason it's important to share with you that, and I'll just go back to that previous slide, is that immediately 3 months after that experience that we did in Brazil with that company, we took the same 7-step process into a grade 11 class, and we began to pilot an IMAGINAL program with our students. You see, the R&D, that we are an R&D school, not all of it took place in this building. Some of it took place in this particular case in Brazil with a company. And out of that, we have developed a process by which we engage students in how to see and create the future. And so that was 2017 when we did the first Imaginal pilot program here in the school. And now it's become a bedrock program of the college. We call it UPrep. And it's all the way from grade 7 to grade 12. And so it will also be with the Imaginal Plus school. Here's a quick little video from 20.
The Imaginal leader is one who has learned how to take the tools that are commonly used by futurists, such as trend analysis, such as looking at impact of trends. Those are common tools. And our students learn how to do that. And not only are they able to create powerful scenarios of the future, but by placing themselves into it, they can begin to learn from that future.
This year at Masters, we challenged the grade 11s with an Imaginal Bold Challenge. They were creating a future and seeing how they could learn from it and fit into it and kind of start a trajectory that would take them through potentially the next 15 years of their life. So we chose a scenario where we were trying to create 2033 and what Calgary was going to look like and where they would fit into that.
So you can go to our website, you can see the whole video, but we're not going to show it to you tonight. And so this now was the beginning stages of developing this Imaginal Leader program that we have currently in our school. Then we know what happened in a societal perspective. COVID hit in 2020, and then there was kind of like a year after as a COVID reset. But during the fall of 2022, we did a pilot program for online Imaginal Plus School. So us launching this September is not our first kick at the can. We've actually gone through this exercise last year. And so these were some of the students that were involved. Some were in Ontario, as far as Collingwood in Ontario, and I think one was in northern Alberta. But this was our pilot in September of 2022. And so now we've reached a point where we're ready to launch Imaginal Plus here at Masters. And we're actually looking at calling this Imaginal Learning or Profound Learning 2.0. There's enough new elements that we're putting into our learning model, new programming, that it warrants us to call it 2.0. And I'm not going to go into the details about that.